My research at the minute has two main strands. So the first area I focus on is law and reproduction. I've recently started a reproductive justice network, which is a group of activists, academics and providers who are concerned about women's access to abortion services across the UK. We're also generally concerned with access to reproductive services, so sexual and reproductive health across the UK. The second area I look at is medical migration or medical tourism. So medical tourism is a phrase used to describe individuals travelling to other countries to access health services. So it's also referred to as cross-border care. Depending on the service they're accessing, different legal questions are raised. I've always been interested in law and philosophy generally, so I've always been interested in questions raised by how law shapes our lives, and then philosophical questions about what it means to live a good life. Health law then it tends to shape our lives in quite intimate ways, so decisions that we make regarding our health or our futures in relation to our health or reproduction tend to be quite intimate questions, so it has the power to really shape the sorts of lives we can lead, and that's what has primarily made me interested in this area. Also, in relation to law and reproduction, I've always had an interest in women's access to abortion services, probably because I grew up in the Republic of Ireland, where access to abortion is very severely restricted. So I find it very interesting when I talk to students in the UK who are so used to access to abortion being not a question anymore, a presumption that you would have access. Whereas I remember being in college and having discussions with friends who found themselves to be pregnant and didn't want to be pregnant. And then the question was how they would get to England, how they would raise the funds for this, who did they include in the decision making, what did they do when they came back. So I'm very passionate about women's right to access abortions when they need to. Saving Humans is one of the inaugural Institute of Advanced Studies themes. The theme is directed towards protecting the conditions necessary for human flourishing. So saving humans sounds like it's saving us from extinction, which obviously is important and is one aspect of the theme, but also the theme is concerned with how best we ensure human survival and the best conditions for human survival. So one aspect of the Saving Humans theme will be how to ensure health security and resilience to infectious diseases or pandemics. Personally, I'll be looking at the issue of cross-border care. So how on a global level do we ensure that people have access to appropriate technologies, but in a way which is legally justifiable and ethically justifiable. So for instance, if I travel to India in order to access a hip replacement, so a fairly non-controversial treatment, but my accessing that treatment in a private hospital in India means local populations don't have access to appropriate healthcare because the health system becomes skewed towards provision of private healthcare to individuals travelling to that country. How do we respond to that? I'm based in the Centre for Health Law, Science and Policy, whose work is closely aligned with the Centre for Global Ethics. And within our centre, we're quite interested in how we use new technologies in order to ensure future health for the population. So looking at biotechnologies, personalised medicine, synthetic biology, all these new technologies, and how best we can harness the fruits of the research in an ethically and legally appropriate manner. My long-term ambitions are both academic and activist. So obviously I have academic interests in pursuing research in various areas, but I'm also interested in that research feeding into policy. So I hope to contribute to government bodies who are drawing up legislation on different issues, but also working with third sector organisations and providers to actually ensure that women have access to abortion services, or that we are formulating and implementing ethically appropriate health policy, both in our country and also thinking at a global level.